One thing that I find frustrating when I am scrolling around the internet and find hypnosis videos is that when you watch street hypnosis, you often see a complete disregard for the physical safety of the subjects. If you've ever seen a stage hypnosis show, you will see that some people have a tendency to, frankly, fall over when they get hypnotized. Especially in traditional hypnosis, when we use so called conversion moments, it can kind of come as a little bit of a shock. And if you're not aware of your subject's surroundings at the time, physically there to catch them, or in VR, it can be very hard to know if someone's standing up or sitting down. So it's very important to ask in that case, hey, are you sitting down already? Are you able to find a cozy spot where you're not going to hit your head or anything bad's going to happen, right? Very simply put, be aware of your subject's physical environment so that they won't hit themselves if they were to fall over. Even though hypnosis is a mental thing, it can still affect your focus and your balance. And also, obviously, if you're someone who knows that you flop, please tell your hypnotist that you're a flopper, which is the word we use for people who fall over when they get hypnotized. It's a fun one, if you catch your subject. Otherwise, they'll have a headache for the rest of the day. No fun. Another important thing for safety in hypnosis is literally your mental health. If you are in good mental health as the hypnotist and as the subject, you're more likely to be communicating clearly, you're more likely to be doing the things that are good and healthy for you and taking healthy decisions. However, if your mental health is bad and you have bad self-esteem, it's more likely that you're going to agree to things that might not be in your best interest. And so having good mental health and having a great self-esteem and self-image is a really, really good thing for staying safe in hypnosis. It will also help you evaluate situations from a more objective standpoint if you have a better mental health situation. So do some self-care, make sure that you're in a good spirit before you do hypnosis, and you'll be having lots more fun. I promise you that. In general, working with hypnosis, it's always best if you know your hypnotist and you know your subject pretty well. So one safety tip could literally be make friends first. Find people who are passionate about hypnosis, find other things that they are passionate about, and perhaps bond a little bit outside of hypnosis. This way you can learn to treat each other with respect outside of any sort of dynamic or anything, and it's going to, help you communicate better if something does go wrong. Your belief in hypnosis is going to help you keep safe. If you believe hypnosis is something that you have some control over, which you should because you do, you're an active part of doing this either as the hypnotist or the subject. If you believe that you have some sense of control, then you have some sense of control when things go wrong. For example, if you feel uncomfortable, you have the power to wake up or to say, hey, that's not comfortable, in a slightly sleepy voice, because of course you will, because you're hypnotized, right? But that's okay. Like, you can still think and feel things in hypnosis. However, you start to kind of get into a little bit of a danger zone. If you believe hypnosis is an all-powerful controlling force, then that's likely what it will be. And so you might feel trapped in hypnosis if you believe that you don't have agency. So therefore, it's very important to, educate yourself about hypnosis. Hypnosis, it literally is not mind control, but it is a cooperative exercise to build this alternative reality between you and the hypnotist. And it's important to know that there's always an outer layer to that, where you as the subject and hypnotist, you have some control over the things that are outside this bubble. If you start feeling uncomfortable as a subject, you can always wake up. Hypnotic safety suggestions is something that I would not recommend. Hypnotic safety is not supposed to be something that you have implanted or is given to you by an external force. It is something that's supposed to come from within. You have to know yourself and understand your own feelings and reactions in order to respond to them during a hypnosis scene. The implication that someone has to give you that safety in the hypnotic context is in itself detrimental. If you hold the belief that you need someone else's influence to stay safe in hypnosis, you're doing it wrong. Because you knowing yourself is incredibly important. And someone, for example, giving the safety suggestion of, if you ever feel uncomfortable, you're going to wake up automatically. And then suddenly you're sitting there feeling like maybe a little uncomfortable or whatever, and then you don't wake up. Oh yeah, because the safety is supposed to take care of that. You've suddenly removed a responsibility of yourself and put it on some fictive suggestion. Another thing about safety suggestion is that they are implemented as suggestions inside of the hypnotic bubble, which is kind of a little bit of a flaw when it comes to complex emotions and emotional hijacking, because if someone's then trying to do something bad to you and then you trigger your safety suggestion because you feel uncomfortable or whatever, you're kind of pulling yourself into this hypnotic headspace, potentially at least. And so really understanding this, that hypnotic safety, obviously is about more than just a mechanic of waking up, right? And I feel like if you are going to have the belief that you need safety suggestions from an external force, you're kind of reinforcing in a way that hypnosis is something that you don't have control over, because you are relying on the hypnosis to stay safe. A very important aspect of hypnosis, I would say, is also respect. If you find that the hypnotist that you're with doesn't respect you, either continuously treats you as, some kind of lesser creature, or disrespects you by breaking your boundaries, or doesn't communicate clearly, or with language that is demeaning towards you outside of, negotiated times where that's appropriate, I think those are not great things. Making sure that you feel respected as a person and a hypnotic cooperator / subject, whatever you want to say, is important. That's why my number one tip is literally make sure that you make friends with people, like a little bit at least, outside of the hypnotic context, and make sure that you feel respected. So in short, physical safety is quite important when you're dealing with mental things that can impair your judgment. Your mental health is really important to keep you safe and making good decisions for yourself. And hypnotic safeties are kind of trash. Don't force them on people. Don't imply that they need them. They need to get to know themselves and understand how they react in hypnosis, working towards that slowly. And make sure that you feel respected by your hypnotist and also by your subject, of course. Thank you for watching. Bye.